So this is a many points of light kind of thing. Uh, instead of uh, instead of seeing a problem as a thing, a sort of abstract thing, or just people fighting, uh, we see it as uh, a living ecosystem or network of nodes, and those nodes are alive, and we can get information and energy from them. Uh, so in this mode, we are, and this is not just problems, as I note in the write-up, possibilities here. If there's a possibility, there are people who are, if that possibility was to become real, or in the case of a negative possibility, be prevented or moderated in some way, these people, these points of influence or potential in the system can be accessed and brought into their more positive role, kind of. And sometimes it's very simple. It's like, okay, there's lots of people who have information on something, like the wisdom of crowds uses crowdsourcing in the sense of prediction markets. What's the next breakthrough going to be, and all sorts of people get in and put in their 2 cents about what the next big breakthrough is going to be in technology. And it turns out that when lots of people do that, and they're not talking together, they're just independent agents, their predictions end up being startlingly accurate. And that's what the book, The Wisdom of Crowds, talks about. And then there's, crowdfunding. Say, okay, we want to do a project. There's many people that might want to put in a few dollars on that. And if you do it really well, you end up with thousands or millions of dollars. So again, the sense that there's all these little pieces that can be pulled together into something much larger. And when I say, I guess all the first sentence is adequately described here. We address the whole by inviting them to come forth with their own contributions to the enterprise, unconstrained by official roles. It's not like, okay, you're going to contribute this because you're such and such a role. You're a businessman, you're a policeman, you're a whatever. The more we can just loosen up and draw people in, they may have a lot of gifts to give that derive from their role, but they're not constrained by their role. They're full human beings. There's a way in which people, it's like, I have sometimes given a talk to a crowd of 100 people, and I can sense the immense potential in that room. There's just most of the people in the room are unaware of. And I go, how many people here are well connected to at least 100 people? And half the room's hands will go up. Sometimes practically everybody's hand will go up. And I go, now multiply, look at that and realize how many people, if we chose to, we could access from just those people, just us in this room. It's amazing the kinds of connectivity that are there, represented by even a small number of people. So that's an awareness that comes from the potential for crowdsourcing. And it's not that you go to somebody because they are the official source of this kind of information. You just do it from the whole crowd. And don't be limited by the assumptions of who might know what and who doesn't. So sort of open it up and see who comes to the party. And then once people come, then there's the challenge to weave it into greater wisdom and effectiveness, which sometimes can be done relatively automatically. When you see, people coming to Amazon to buy things, and when you go to Amazon and you want to, buy an umbrella, and it says, and you're looking at a particular umbrella, and it says, people who bought this umbrella also bought this, or people who looked at this umbrella ended up buying these things, Uh, that information is done, no person put together that information. That information was done by uh, a bot, by an algorithm. And the phenomenon that is called stigmergy. It's the same phenomenon uh, that governs ant colonies. You know, ants leave little traces of chemicals that mean things to other ants, and the ant comes along that trace. Another ant comes to that, you know, chemical, and it knows, you know, it's supposed to go back to the ant colony, or it's supposed to go off in this particular direction following where this ant went, or it's supposed to pick up this ant and take it off to the graveyard, whatever. And what's happening on Amazon is whenever we use Amazon, we are leaving a trace that we looked at this, that we bought this, and the algorithm is weaving that into something that then feeds back to us. Here's the traces of other people, you know. So all that, and the rating systems that we use online, all that are forms of crowdsourcing used for individuals. And of course, the greatest example of crowdsourcing collectively is Wikipedia. You know, a lot of people who are and aren't experts get woven by their engagements with each other in, you know, not at the same time, into this massive encyclopedia. And there's a bunch of people who are constantly working it over to, you know, make it more accurate and make it more like an encyclopedia. But it's massive. I mean, there's millions of people putting stuff on there and taking stuff off and reframing it and all that. So that's the spirit of crowdsourcing. We now have technology to reach out widely to many people who otherwise are not connected, and to access them for information, influence, resources, whatever. I mean, the methodologies I already talked about: crowdfunding, prediction markets, Stigmergy, Amazon, Wikipedia. And co-digital, which we used once, is another really interesting way. It's crowdsourcing little paired comparisons between something. Which of these is most important? People are generating new items for the list, whatever the topic happens to be, and then comparing them. And you know, the bot, the algorithm, keeps dishing up new paired matches of things people have put onto the list. And out of all that, the algorithm is generating a prioritized list of which things are more important than other things. It's a very interesting method we used prior to a conference at NCDD to decide what we were going to talk about at the conference. I didn't necessarily like the results, but I was fascinated with the process. And voting is voting is one of the epistemic processes studied by this woman, Helene Landemore, in her book. I haven't read her section on voting, but she does a wisdom of crowds thing with voting, which it has epistemic properties of making a collective decision through many independent inputs. And I don't know the full qualities of that go into making it epistemically valid. I've always been down on voting, which I'm about to be more up on it. But that's another example of crowdsourcing the decision